You got no classes tomorrow? All right, young scholars. So, before we jump into SQL and Access today, I just want to remind everybody, Drew sent an email, what was that, Friday, Saturday? So there's technically no final exam in this class. So for whatever reason, Seton Hall and Monmouth University are kind of the same with their exam schedules, where basically you have the class at one time the entire semester, and then the exam is scheduled for some completely weird time that doesn't make sense. So the final exam for this class is set up for Thursday, December 15th from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Anybody actually want to show up that time? Yeah, so like I told you, I hope I did, the first class we met on the 29th back of August, we used to have 3 exams, and the third exam was basically broken up into what we'll do on December 5th in class, just into a quiz and an extra Excel assignment. So there is no final exam. We have class today. The Access exam and SQL quiz is next week. And then the 5th and the 12th, we'll do the remaining 3 Excel assignments in class. I'll go through an IT concepts PowerPoint, and then you just do the IT concepts quiz for homework. I'm assuming that's due the 11th, because we'll go through that in the class. Okay. So, again, today, the 28th, the 5th, and the 12th, and we're done. Don't have to come in on Thursday, the 15th of December at 8 a.m. because I won't be here. Nobody else, hopefully, will be here either. So save your gas money, save your energy for your classes that actually have final exams. So today we're going to go through some information on SQL. Like I said, next week, I don't care what order you do them, but it's probably easier to do the SQL quiz first, because it's just 10 questions. Literally, you could just go through this PowerPoint slide and find and click the answer to and go through the 10 questions. So that's probably easier to do first. Make sense? Then there is the Access exam, which we will set up after we go through the SQL PowerPoint and information here. You'll be asked, a couple queries. I think there's a form on there, but don't quote me on it. And then there's 3 extra credit questions. Damn. So this is for them or you guys later?
This is for, they can have these.
Right.
This is for my class.
All right. I'll throw it back here if you want. All right, I'll see you later. Thank you, Rob. Who remembers one of the extra credit questions I told you guys we would have? Like, yep. So there's going to be 3 extra credit questions on it for 10 points. The append row 1, I think, is 2.5 points. Then there's one that asks you, hey, if you wanted to do a query for New York or New Jersey, how would you set it up? That's another 2.5 points. And then I forget what the other question is. But that one is 5 points. What is the other question? Oh, the asterisk wildcard. We've shown what it's done and what it does, right? It basically replaces letters. Yeah, we pass these around and see if anybody wants. That Rob was nice enough to bring in. Did I mention this on Halloween when we first started databases? Like what SQL is? Jackie, did I mention this? You don't remember? So SQL was developed by IBM in San Jose, California. Some people just refer to it as SQL because those are the letters, but technically it's called SQL. What does SQL stand for, Drew? Third bullet. Structured query language. So Owen, you recognize that in Access, we just hit a couple buttons to do queries, right? Who's done their group project so far? Did you do the SQL codes? No, nobody did it? Unfortunate, Drew? You did do it? So what are the three things of the SQL? Three steps, that's okay. We'll circle back to it when we get to that slide. Select from where? Do you remember, Jackie, us talking about relational database management systems? Like we connect last name to a couple different tables? Vaguely remember that from Halloween? Okay. So MySQL is a type of SQL that basically helps you set that up. It's like personal. More often than not, you wouldn't really assign a super user to that. It would just be you and you only using MySQL. Well, this is one of the questions, actually two of the questions on the SQL quiz. Austin, Access is what? Access is what? Client side, what's that mean? When you go get your hair cut, what are you? What's another word for customer? What's another word for customer? You're the client. Access is client side. You bought it? Well, they probably put it on your Seton Hall laptop, right? But technically you pay for the laptop through your tuition, and technically you pay more than it's worth through your tuition, but I don't know why they do that, but that's their issue. So you're the client using Access. Like I mentioned, you have a Mac, you can't use Access on your PC. Gotta have one of these. So it's gotta be on a computer somewhere. So Aaron, your boyfriend, girlfriend has a MacBook, right? They can't access Access. If you're at their house, you don't have your laptop, you're SOL, right? Unless they have their parent or sibling has a PC, right? But SQL is what, Drew?
It's a server side.
Server side. It's up on a server. So all you have to do is go access that server, which is a lot easier, right, Owen? Why? Right. You just go log into a website or, well, depending on what server it is on, if it's on a web server, you'd log into that specific website to use it. But if it's on like a host server, you might have to tunnel in using, there's certain different ones. Have you guys ever heard of Putty? No. So sometimes you could use like a fake computer called Putty and log into something that's on another computer to access it. So server side, it's basically, Erin could be stuck in 6 feet of snow in Buffalo and still be able to do SQL assignments if she needed to. Whereas Access, I have to have it with me. It's got to be on that computer or somebody else's computer for me to do it. Which makes sense, right? Because the next line says SQL can be used online, right? Can you use Access online? Technically, you can connect it to online by importing XML data from a website, but not really. For a SQL, you could use it online anywhere. JJ could be sitting in Dunkin' Donuts somewhere, chatting up some ladies and, oh crap, I gotta do my homework. Pull it up and do whatever he needs to do for his queries for that. I think Viswai will teach more of this with the R class. I forget the name of it, business info modeling maybe. And you'll kind of go through some of this, hopefully. What do I mean by works with HTTP, HTML, PHP, etc.? Rob doesn't tell you about this stuff, Riley? No. He just tells you that I'm a great professor. He doesn't mention what goes on in the web class. So what's HTTP? Jackie, you're smart. What does it mean? You're not that smart? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. The stuff that goes before there on your website domain name, what's the S stand for? I'll give you a hint. It has something to do with that block next to it. Like secure. So back in the day, it would just be HTTP, and that would be it. Now, websites use the HTTPS to make sure Jackie goes and buys something on Amazon, that her credit card information just doesn't end up in Austin's hands. He's going to use it, right? That little lock basically tells you, okay, it's cool for you to use this website. You don't have to worry as much. So a couple of you mentioned this, and I warned you this, I think on Halloween when we first started databases. Access can freeze. Who had this issue last week when we were doing the work? Drew, Leo, didn't somebody else? Was it Malik or Dalbert? Somebody else had it. SQL is more reliable. Well, that depends on what your computer you're using. So let's say Mike's got an 18-year-old computer. Is SQL gonna work? It'll work, but it'll be slow because your computer's slow and old, and I'm not as quick as I was when I was all your age. Running around the baseball field. So like I said, Access costs money, right? I think these days a subscription, Microsoft Office 365 just for Access is like $100. For the whole suite, I think it's $3.99. So who would have preferred if I made you buy my IT lab for this class for $100? No? You preferred not having to buy any text or anything, just come in and listen, right? Sequel offers free options in that same vein. Right, JJ? You did not catch it? Why? You were surfing through the internet. How come? Am I boring? No? You're still trying to figure out what HTTP is? So back to that, HTML and PHP are also related to the web. So who's ever gone on a website and you could like fill out a form? Just a couple of you. So that's probably written in PHP language because you can't see PHP. Like if I wanted to look at an HTML page, all I have to do is right click, view page source. None of you know what any of this means, but I do. And hopefully Rob to some degree knows. But with a PHP, when you right click that, it literally just shows you the words that are on that page. So the reason it's commonly used with forms is you don't want people knowing what your email is, getting that information that you're sending across the web. The same kind of thing applies with SQL. Like I said, with Access, it's just on your computer, right? The only people who can access your Access is if they have your login or you leave your laptop open. Leo, do you leave your laptop open? No, you probably hit the little Windows button here, right? And select to sleep if you're not using it, maybe even close it. Throw it in like I have the little bag sleeve for it, right? Who leaves their laptop open and unlocked? Anybody? Good. Nobody. Good. Now, some of us apparently overuse our laptops, but that's another story. Why is connecting to the web relevant? Chris, give us one of the reasons. Right. We kind of differentiated, excuse me, the two differences, right? You might have it on a web server, which is very easy to get to. You just log in, or it might be on somebody else's computer as the host, or you'd have to tunnel in using some kind of intermediate like PuTTY. What's the second reason, Mike? So what's some kind of information you like? Like, what are you interested in? Chicken nuggets? You guess? Obviously. How many places in just in this surrounding area sell chicken nuggets? You could query who has the cheapest price. Wendy's, White Castle, Seton Hall Student Center. Although technically, don't they charge you like random prices with the card swipe? Like I'll go in there sometimes at 8 o'clock and it's like $7. Other times it's like $11. I'm lucky. I get the Kruger swipes. I hand the lady this and nothing happens and she's just like, According to Nicole in my other class, she apparently does that a lot, so. So what's the last one, Leo? Okay, so let's see, Austin, your group is you, Chris, Drew, and who else? Johnny? So they're doing their group project. They're going in and they're each doing their section, right? They're probably not even looking to see if the other person did their section right, right? You're just assuming, hey, Johnny's a good guy. Hey, he did this right, right? You trust him. So when it's on the web, you can actually look through real quick instead of having to double click, open a query, hoping that Access doesn't freeze on you, and look through that information. So, Owen, who's in your group? Okay, so let's say, I don't know, JJ's busy surfing the web and you're not 100% sure that he did his part right. So you go and you click open his queries in Access and it freezes on you and you just give up. That whatever. It's due in 10 minutes, I'm submitting it, right? In SQL, you go in to look, oh, he messed this up. You go through, you do something real quick in 30 seconds and bang, it's done. Much easier to edit, which is what? Just make changes to it, right? Add, what is that? What is add? What is add? You did it last week. What do you do when you add something to a table? Anybody? What did we do last week? We made a table from scratch, right? And what did we add? Data, fields, information. Same thing with delete. We could remove it if it's not necessary, if it's unneeded. And retrieve data based on settings is just basically what we've done this whole time. Queries, look for information. Like, what was the thing we did with Austin? We tried to find who you owed the money to, how you broke up with certain people by text, right? Just query information, find information. So like when JJ's searching the web, that's a query, right? Is it appropriate? What did you Google? What? Bremble Breaks? Is that a show? Oh, okay. So that's a query, but on the web. And what happens when you Googled that? Like various places you could buy the parts, right? And you'll probably go for like the cheapest one because they might charge you to do it, or you know how to do it yourself. You get it done, so you might go for the cheapest part, right? Because you might have to pay, 40 bucks in labor. Well, maybe 40 bucks an hour. So how else can you retrieve information? Austin, how do you retrieve information? What do you use? Database? A filter? I'm thinking more along the lines of, the database we made about you, the hot dates and all these women you've broken the hearts of. Where do you have that info? On one of these things, right? So you might look through your texts to, find information. Same kind of setup with a database. What's the process? And don't mention anything about the 76ers. What's the process? Unfortunate Drew, when you go to a website, what happens? It shows you a bunch of information. What happens when you go to a website? What happens? What happens when you go to a website? It opens, it loads, right? Unless you're not connected to the internet, right? So what's the process here? How do we get the client, let's say Drew, access to that SQL database, which is on a server? What do we have to do? Anybody? Search it up. Open the server, okay? Riley, when you go into a house, what do? Are you like the police? You just take a ram rod and plow the door open? You knock? If it's not your house, you knock, right? And then what do you wait for? Them to open the door. Them to grant access to the house, to the server, right? JJ, question? No? So same thing with access. In order to get into access, you have to log into your computer, right? And open access. To get to a SQL database that's on the web, on a server, you have to go in, type in whatever the domain name might be where the server's on, log into it, and be granted access to use it, right? So Leo, what could be an issue granting access? You have to pay for the website, okay? So let's say you pay GoDaddy to have your domain and you forgot, you changed debit card numbers or something, and it doesn't renew, you might not be allowed to log in because that website might be down until you pay to renew for your domain. What could be another reason that you're denied access, Owen? Okay. So certain, like let's say Austin flew over to meet some babe in Paris or something. He may not be able to log in to a certain website, right? What? You would use a VPN. Well, some people might not be able to afford that or know what a VPN is. Who doesn't know what a VPN is? Everybody in here knows what a VPN is? Very good. Drew, what's a VPN?
You like change your location or like change your IP address. I think.
You think?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Okay. What's it stand for? Very good. We're on a roll today. I'm impressed. What does the server responding mean? What does that mean? If it grants you access, what happens? JJ? Yeah, you now have access to all those queries, tables, the entire databases. Let's say there's 80 databases. There might be 480 tables that you need to do 1,600 queries on. You now have access to all of it. Until what happens? There's two things that might happen. You might get timed out, like you guys know how every so often you have to relog back into Blackboard or PirateNet, depending on, and now they even have the, because they were worried about Russia hacking us, the 7-day duo mobile thing. You got to do that every 7 days too. Or the internet connection may be choppy and knock you off, right? So let's again use that same example. Austin may be chatting up some babe in Paris and go over there and he's got spotty Wi-Fi, right? He's trying to log in and work on some kind of database. He might be kicked off, right? Because he's like hanging out under the Eiffel Tower, making out with this new friend of his, right? That's why Austin hates this class. It's your favorite class? Do your other professors even know your name? They just talk the entire time? Well, I punish you all with the engagement aspect. Gotta participate, gotta be involved. So when you log into your own SQL or MySQL, you'll have what is called a PHP MyAdmin. Like I said, it's written in PHP so that it's not quote unquote hackable. Your information isn't readily available when you right click to try and view information. Ethan, what do I mean by simple command line interface? What does that mean? You're not sure? Malik, what does that mean? Simple command line interface. Now I put him to sleep. What does simple command line interface mean? What's simple mean? Easy to use, okay? What's command line mean? See if it actually opens. So command line comes from back in the day, we'd use command prompts, this thing, to do things on a computer. So who knows anything about like the Java or Python programming languages? Anybody? Just Unfortunate Drew? So back in the day, we used what was called C++, which is what most SQL databases are written in, either C++ or C#. And you'd have to compile everything using these command prompts. So you'd write some command line. And you'd probably have to have a semicolon at the end of it and then hit enter for it to actually work. But what do you think is going to happen when I hit enter for this command, Jackie? I'm probably going to get an error when I hit enter. Yeah. So because it's not a real command, it gives me an error. But that's what a command line is. A simple statement that gets a computer to do something. So, we could do another fake one. And that could be, a command. Just one simple command to get everything done the way you need it to be done. And you'll see more of this stuff, kind of the admin or cPanel stuff. If you decide to take me for 3730, where we actually do web stuff. Matt, what are the three main types of data in SQL? Okay, simple enough, right? What's a text, Leo? It's any characters that are letters. What's a number, Sam? Yeah, what's a number? What's a number? Like give us an example of what a number is. One is a number, yes. What's another number, Jackie? 2, okay. Are we just gonna keep going up? We could have square numbers, we could have infinite numbers, an array of numbers. What's date and time, Ally? Okay. So today is November 21st, 2022. It is 2:43 PM Eastern Standard Time, right? Why do I say Eastern Standard Time? Owen? Yeah. So, what's her name? Sophia? She's from California, right? If she's there right now, she's 3 hours behind, right? So it might be 11:44 AM there, right? So some websites may be set up to where the time is whatever the time is on your laptop. So when you go into Blackboard, let's say JJ is down in Pensacola, Florida. They're an hour behind us. He might have an hour more to do homework than the rest of it. Because Blackboard won't be like, oh, okay. Well, he's from New Jersey. It's 11:59 in Jersey. Oh, but no, he's in Pensacola, where it's an hour behind. Okay. He still has time to submit. Other websites might give you the time based on where they are. So, like Facebook might have a clock on there. Oh yeah, it's 11:45 right now in Palo Alto. There's different kinds of text. So when we did Access, it was basically just short text and long text, right? In SQL, there's a number of different types. So what's char? Austin probably has a Charmander, right? You do not? Do you even know what a Charmander is? Pokemon, yeah. Drew, do you have a Charmander? No. But you know what I meant? What is char short for? Not Charmander. What's it short for? Owen? Character. So in SQL, you do char size, where size is just replaced by any random number. So remember, was it last week? We changed like short text from like 255 to 5. That's where the number would go. In place of size, you would put 5, 255, whatever it may be. So what is varchar? Not a Charizard. It's not the evolution of Charmander. Unfortunate Drew. It's a variable character. What does that mean? What does it mean? What's that last sentence for varchar say? Note. What's it say, Sam?
Value greater than 55.
Right. So char, you're limited to 255. Varchar, if you go over 255, it just makes it into a text. In Access, if you wanted to go over 255, you have to change it to long text. SQL just does it for you. Okay, this is 285 characters. Okay, this is now a text. So there's tiny text, medium text, and long text, all with a different maximum length of characters. So if we wanted to have a text field with all of Austin's previous girlfriends, which one are we going to use? AJ? Tiny text? Were you not here that day? It's just the names, yeah. So 255 characters. That should be enough. We're probably going to need the long text, right? Riley, how many characters are in your name? One? So you think he's only been with 51 women that have all 5 letters in their names? But that all have 5 letters in their names. So he might have dated like a Cassandra Ashley or something like that. Okay. So JJ's not as confident in Austin as Austin is, but that's okay. Who knows what Enum is short for? Anybody ever have a math class? Nobody? Jackie? Enumerator, yes. JJ, now's the time to Google. Tell everyone what an enumerator is. Okay. So do you see now why in SQL we would do X comma Y comma Z comma etc. You have to put them in order. 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Number fields. Tiny int. According to JJ, we'd probably use that to count the number of women that Austin has been with. Austin, which one do you think would be more appropriate to count the number of women you think? The normal one, int. You've been with, what is that, 21 million? No, 214 million, 748,647. That's enough to cover that? That sounds about right. So again, we have tiny, small, medium, int, and big for our different kinds of int. Unfortunate Drew, you were the one who said you kind of knew Java or Python. Which one do you know? Python? Who'd you have for Python? Who'd you have for Python? You took it at a different school? Who'd you have for Python? What was the professor's name? Oh, it was a MOOC? Okay. Did they teach you what a float is? A floating decimal number. So tell us how we set this up. What do we put in size and what do we put in D? I know, that's why I asked it. Will, do you know? No? And the size is just our number. You know, how long we're gonna make our int. So let's say to keep all of Austin's, young females that he's claimed to have dated, maybe we do 17,000. What would the D be? And be appropriate. What would the D be? Erin, any guess? The number of decimal places. So let's say 2, and we make it, 0.67. Austin got, freaky one night. Had relations with, 2/3 of someone. So that is what is called a float. A double is basically what would be a bigger int, a larger version of the float. So, like, let's say we did the square root of all of Austin's entanglements, that might need to be set up as a double. And then obviously, what's a decimal, Drew?
Like added on.
Okay. But in this instance with SQL, a decimal is set up like a string, not a number. Why? Why do you think they do this? What's the one decimal that you've probably been taught in all your math classes that is pretty damn long? And every March, they have a day for it. And people bring you certain baked goods. Riley? Pi. What is it? 3.14. What are the rest of the numbers? Nobody knows off the top of their heads? Chris, why don't you have this memorized? Why don't you have all of the pi numbers memorized? Okay, that's better than I got. I just got 3.14. So that would be set up as a decimal. So that this way you can count, 10 million decimals, whatever it may be. Whereas a float and a double, you're technically limited to the number of decimals based on those integer parameters. All right, date and time fields. How would we set up a date? Austin knows all about setting up dates. Austin, how do we set up a date in SQL? So, yeah, explain how it's set up. So how would we write Austin's birthday? Tell us. 2002-11- what? 08. Your birthday was 13 days ago and nobody made mention of it? Some friends you got in this class. The supported range is from 1001-01 to, who remembers Y2K? Were any of you alive 23 years ago? JJ, were you in diapers 23 years ago? You weren't born? None of you were born? What? What? WWE, oh, the Chris Jericho debut in August 1999? No. So Y2K was this thing in 1999 where, like, people that were my grandparents' age at the time, were already like kind of weirded out by computers and thought that computers would like kill the world and like short circuit and not know what's going on because we would go from 1999 to 2000. Nothing ever came of it. You know, we had a couple outages in, I think, Nevada on New Year's Eve, but other than that, it wasn't really the end of the world. But people kind of thought it was going to be, because, you know, nobody that was alive then had lived into a next century. So none of you have lived in 2 centuries? You were all born after 2000? Jackie, when were you born? 2002? 2000? In January? December? Why would you think I meant Chris Jericho's debut? What does that have to do with this? He's actually older than me and still wrestling. Sting too. Sting's like 68 and wrestled the other night. Did you go to that? There's like 2 blocks away from here. Why didn't you go? Too much money? Oh, like most people, you stopped watching wrestling when Austin and The Rock and people that were actually entertaining left. So with the date time, we just add time onto this. So Austin, do you know what time you were born? No? Who knows what time they were born? Riley? 10:23 in the morning. So it would just be 10 ... or colon rather 23. Anybody that was born at night? Matt, what time were you born? 11:58 p.m. So how would that be written? $23.58. What's timestamp? Any of you old enough to go to the bar? Just Jackie, right? Who else? You're old enough, Albert? Not really, but you go anyway? Do they still do this thing where they put something on your arm so you can kind of walk in and out as you feel like it? Do they still stamp your arm? Jackie's saying yes. So they did that back in my day. So this way, you know, you had to go out in the alleyway and do what's called rally. You know, you could just walk out and come back in. Jackie, do you know what rally is? No. Albert, do you know what rally is? No. What's one of the things that might happen when you drink too much? Yeah. So you go outside, you find some garbage can, and you know, you rally. You puke and clean yourself up and go back to it, right? Nobody's heard that before? Chris, you seem like you've heard that. Have you heard that term, rally? Yeah. But you don't drink, right? Too young. So same thing is with the timestamp. It's that exact moment in time. So right now it's 3:02. That would be the timestamp. What happens when it turns to 3:03? You can make another timestamp. It's dependent on what time you make that stamp. So if Jackie goes to the bar, they put the little stamp on her. It might be that day, right? So Jackie goes on Saturday and comes in here today, and Leo sees, 11:19 on the timestamp. He might be a little worried, right? Oh, Jackie didn't wash her hands all weekend. What's up with that? Right? It's just that point in time. So Riley's birth certificate will probably say she was born at what? what was it, 10:23 AM. Mine said 2:06 AM. Haley's, what did yours say? You don't know what time you were born? 10:57 at night or day?
Yeah.
So that would be another timestamp. Is 2 to 4:30 when this class is supposed to run a timestamp? No, it's a time frame. So the difference between those times and this time is that this time in SQL includes the seconds. Do you know what second you were born at 10:23? No? So let's say it might have been 17 seconds. That would be a part of that time. What's this year, Austin? What year is it? 2022. So in SQL, we could write that as either 22 or 2022. What year were you born, Riley? 2002. So that could have been written in 02 or 2002. Drew, what year were you born?
2004.
2004. Oh, you're a youngin'. You're 18 already? When do you turn 19? Okay. So that would be what, Ellie? What would be the two options for 2004? '04 or 2004? JJ, when were you born? What year? 2002. Okay, so the same. India would be a place. It's okay. So that would actually apply to time because how far ahead is India? How many hours? 14? So 3:05, so it's 5 AM there? Maybe we can call and have Malik woken up. 5 AM in India. What are the pros of SQL? William, give me one of the pros. Right. So a couple of you had that issue with Access where you just did 2 queries and your whole thing froze, right? On the web, you might have a database that's set up with 82,000 tables. You know, we got to count all those females that Austin has been hitting on over the years. What's another pro, Haley? Of SQL. We have a whole slide on it. It's stability. Again, we could tie that to Access. Access constantly freezes. We might have to turn off our laptop, turn off Access, close it out. SQL, you just go in as you need to. What's another one, JJ? Portable. There's free versions, right? That should really be something for you college kids, right? Like Riley's pal Rob was telling me last week, apparently the women's basketball game gives away free pizza. Is this true, Haley? That the women's basketball game, they give away free pizza before the game?
They did to the students who showed up.
So that's what Rob did last week. He ran out of here and wanted some free pizza. So free is better than expensive, right? In some things. Like Riley, where do you go get your haircut? In Pittsburgh, but you go to like a beauty shop, right? You're not like me where you go to any old random barber shop. Number 1, crew cut, please. Right? You actually pay to make your hair look nice, right? Right, Drew? That makes sense? Like some things you might actually want to pay for. What's another pro here, Sam? We did that one.
Speed.
We did that one.
Source code.
Okay. Who knows what that means? What's source code? View page source, that's source code. So this is all HTML that basically made Blackboard, right? So SQL, here's the source code, go use it. It's already done for you. You don't really have to know anything. It's already up on the web for you to use, right? And from my opinion, the other awesome part of SQL, you can basically use it anywhere on any system. You don't have to go buy a PC because it doesn't load on a Mac like an Access, right? Who has an iPhone? So you could load it on an iPhone. Doesn't matter that it's Safari web browser, Chrome web browser, doesn't matter. But there are some cons. And I think I mentioned this when we first went over this. Why would having no size limit be a con? Who's like a shopaholic here? Anybody? Nobody? Nobody that wants to admit it. Who knows what a credit card is? Who knows how they work? How do they work, Mike? Okay, some of that is right. You could max it out, just pay it off every month. So what happens if we give Austin an unlimited credit limit? We give you my gold card. What might happen? You would use it. You might go nuts, like, oh, hey, I'm going to buy a Denali, right? So why is that a bad thing, JJ? That he just bought a $70,000 truck? He can't afford it. So tie that to databases. Why is having no size limit a con? Yeah, it could be overloading to you. Like not everybody's like Austin where he's got 17,000 women he's talking to at every time, right? Owen might, limit himself to like 3 at a time that he's texting or talking to, right? So having a database with 17,000 tables of, that may be overloading to you, overwhelming, right? So you might have to go in and, assign Drew to the table and Jackie to another table and get help using it, right? Which is an issue related to what? Security. The more people you have accessing something, the less secure it is. So you all go into Dunkin' Donuts and you go on the free Wi-Fi. Somebody that's outside might now all have your information, right? because you're on free public Wi-Fi. But if only one of you is in there, it's less likely somebody's going to be outside trying to steal your info, right? Because there's only one person to steal info from as opposed to 27 or so. So what do I mean by data integrity? I think I told you on Halloween that in Access, this is already done for you. So when you set up your fields in Access, you have to set them up a certain way with certain settings. Once that's set up, you have to follow those settings. Access won't let you make any changes unless you go back into Design View. Same thing with SQL, but you could change them constantly, which is difficult because you may not know how to do that in SQL. Same thing with different scripts and logs, you know, security related. Let's say Owen creates a SQL database and he assigns Mike and Riley access to it. He might have created a table that's only stuff he wants to look at. But just to be nice, he gave them access to everything. He might go through the logs and check. Oh, do Riley and Mike look through this table I don't want them looking through? Oh, okay, they looked at it at 10:55 last night. I got to go in and change the settings and the data integrity to make sure they now can't view it. You may want to encrypt certain information. Austin, do you know what encrypt is? Yeah, you could kind of scramble up numbers and information so that it's harder to break that code. So SQL can do a lot of the same things that Access does. Create queries using multi-line commands instead of hitting buttons. We can create a database, create a table, show and describe and delete different tables. We can load data, select data, which is our query. Select from where. And we can sort data, ascending, descending. What are null values, Leo? So in Access, basically, it wants you to put information in all of the, for all of the fields. Otherwise, it kind of like gives you a weird look. Like, really? What are you doing? In SQL, it doesn't care. It'll just say null. Oh, there's no information here. So let's say we queried, what was one of the ways we didn't say that Austin would break up with women? Email? No, we used email, right? Okay, so let's say we tried to do a query about how many women Austin broke up with through a friend. We'd get a null value. Instead of just a blank thing, like Access gave us, it would just say null. So there's special characters and pattern matching, like we saw with the, asterisks or Access. Then there's regular expression matching, which you guys can read through. I won't jump through, and because unless, like I said, you take that class with Viswa, you'll probably never see this again. And we have some keywords in SQL similar to Access. You've probably seen the first batch here. Average, min, max, sum, count, and group by. You see all of them when you click that totals row button. What's having? Drew, are you having people over this week for Thanksgiving dinner?
No.
No? Are you going somewhere?
Yes.
So they're having you, right? So that might be your cousin, your aunt, your uncle. So you're matched together, grouped by that relationship. You can then have Drew in one table, his cousin or uncle in another table. Then a lot of these others you've seen just in regular math. Joins, combines. I think one of the parts of the group project, you had to combine two of the tables as like a relationship. If anybody did that so far. And lastly, for SQL is data definition language, or DDL. Bless you. So, Drew, did they mention data structures when you took the Python class online? No. So data structures is an advanced form of programming. So you might have like Java 1, Java 2, and then data structures, if you did any computer science courses. Basically sets up how you go through certain processes. And that's how you might make a database. I'm pretty sure I mentioned, Jackie, did I show you the entity relationship model and how you draw out like the pictures before you set up the database tables? You're giving me a look like I'm nuts. Did I not mention that on Halloween when we started databases? Nobody remembers? So we'd have like a picture like this with random boxes and triangles. Nobody remembers me mentioning this? It probably wasn't as big, but I might have had like this row maybe. Are you sure I didn't mention this? I'm pretty sure I mentioned it. But you would set up your database basically like how do you write papers for your classes? Do any of you have to write papers for classes? Riley, what's the first thing you do? You make your thesis. What do you do second? Okay, what might that be called? It starts with an L. Outline. The whole point is once you know the data definition language, it's much easier to go through and set up that select from where. So the reason I kind of touch on this a little bit and have you do the SQL codes as part of the group project is because, like I told you, if you ever actually have to do anything like for a job related to databases, this is probably what they're going to use, unless they're like a mom and pop operation. Austin, are you Italian? So let's say Austin's family has a pizzeria. They might just use Access, like, oh, here are our 8 employees, right? So that would be fine for just a Access database. What kind of pizzeria might want to use a SQL database instead? Jackie? Domino's? Allie, what's another one? Pizza. You don't know that one? Little Caesars, maybe? What's another chain pizzeria? JJ? Pizza Hut? What's another one, Owen? Papa John's? What's that one they have by you that's on TV all the time now, Aaron? Marco's? That's not by you? You don't think so? Oh, maybe that's Toronto. Reeves, is Marco's big by you? Use your words.
No, it's not.
Okay. So apparently television lies. Mike, what's another one? CC's? Okay. Isn't that more like a buffet style thing though? You've never been? You just Googled? Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure CC's is like a pizza buffet. Like they'll just throw like 85 different types of pizzas on like a conveyor belt and you kind of go pick. It's like, who's heard of like Golden Corral or China Buffet? None of you have heard of that?
There is one actually close. It's like a pizza and wings kind of spot.
Okay. Fair enough. So yeah, CC's is kind of like a buffet style, but pizza and stuff like that. All right, so we're not done yet. Calm down. So there's this intro to, get out of the way. Intro to MySQL that just opens up this little set of slides here too. You can look through as you choose. And then if you really cared enough about SQL, I taught a database class at Rowan during COVID, and you could click on that folder and look through that and watch those videos if you feel like it. I think they're like 10, 15 minutes. All right, so let us set up our database for our exam next week. So go ahead and open up Access. Blank database. Create. Two, 6. All right, so for your Access exam, 10 records. We need last name, first name, major, minor, currently completed credits, currently enrolled credits, and total credits, which I'll show you how to do once we get all this set up. So any 10 of these, but keep in mind, one of the queries you'll have to do on the exam is what majors start with MA? So that would include IT management, sports management, business marketing, sports management, management, marketing, management entrepreneurship. So if you don't want to overwhelm yourself, you might just want to do marketing management instead of the sports management. What was the other one? IT management, because then you'd have to add on to your ORs to get all of them. Does that make sense? So like you'd have to do IT, MA, wildcard, sports, MA, wildcard. Whereas management, marketing, if you pick 10 that are just those, you would just do MA, wildcard. So go ahead and put in any 10 for last name, first name, major, minor, currently completed credits, and currently enrolled credits, which are going to be text, 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 and number. I'm just going to call this table 1, but on the exam, you might be asked to rename that. Major, minor. Currently completed, currently enrolled. Bless you. Okay, so once you have those 6 set up, save your table. And then we'll do the total credits. Because if you haven't done the project yet, I don't think you have seen how to calculate something. While everybody's finishing putting in the field, a reminder, if you have a Mac and don't have access to a PC, go downstairs, rent one, so that you could do the group project and have it in class next Monday to do the Access exam. Okay? Everyone look up when you have the 6 fields here set up. All right, so in the 7th, we are going to do total credits. But for data type, we are going to select the second to last option called calculated. And if you click that, the builder should pop up. Did the builder come up? Did the builder open? So when you click calculated, the builder pops up. So for total credits, what do you think we're gonna add together, Austin? Yep. So double click, then put a plus sign in between, and then double click the other. So what do you think that does? JJ? It creates a new field that you don't have to put anything into. It's calculated. Whatever you put in the other depleted and currently enrolled in, it just adds the 2 of them together. Drew, good? So you'd click OK, save your table, go back into data sheet view, and start adding your people. If it says none for minor, you could just leave it empty. 6, 16. So you see here, the total credits just added the currently completed and currently enrolled. What? What kind of error? To delete it, you'd have to go back into design view. It's not letting you save it. So click here. Right click and delete rows. Close the table, go back in and put it back in. How did I do the what? So put in your field name, total credits, and then data type, just select calculated. The builder pops up, double click currently completed credits and put a plus sign, and then double click currently enrolled credits. Then save it. Go back in. That doesn't like us. Now it disappeared. So now it closed Access entirely. So reopen Access and hopefully it'll work. Leo, good? Okay. Um, let's save that first. So I'm going to delete that, save this, close it, go back in. Total credit. Calculate. There we go. Okay, so currently plus, and then, okay. Save. Back to data sheet view. And now you should be able to type everything.
Double click. So I tried typing it.
So do the same thing we just did for Chris. There we go. So delete that first.
Delete total credit.
Yeah. Delete rows. Save the table. Yeah, that's fine. Close it,
And just do it again.
reopen it. Now go back into design view.
Do that.
Just click view,
Oh,
design. And then re-add total credits. Just set it as short text, so it lets you. Yeah. So now you can double click
oh,
and then plus. And the other one, click OK. And then just bounce over to there, fix the name. Save the table and then go back into data sheet view.
So is it currently complete credits plus currently enrolled credit?
Yes,
Okay. Before it wasn't showing, it was just showing last name, but I think she had the same problems as well.
yeah, you'd have to,
Yeah, I went back into data sheet view and then it popped
yeah,
up.
close out the table
Yeah.
and redo it. It's finicky, that's why we use SQL.
That's
Yes. So save the table, go into data sheet view, and you'll see that it's definitely right if you put numbers in the other two, and it adds them. Bless you. Who knew Coster? Was that you, Austin? Are you gonna tattle? That we're using his name and likeness for this exam? All this info is on today's Blackboard folder. So you could pick any of these. You don't have to pick mine. Okay, so you should have 10 young scholars of yesteryear, or at this point, they're old scholars. And you will use this for the exam, the access part at least, next week. So if you're all done with that, I wish you good luck with the rest of your classes today and tomorrow before they let you escape. And enjoy your Thanksgiving break. And I'll see you next Monday for the access exam. Unfortunate Drew, question. What? Next Monday is the Access exam and the sequel quiz in class.